Matt LaFleur is not on fraud watch, but he absolutely has something major to prove this week against the defending Super Bowl champs.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on the socials, Locked On Packers, wherever you find podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you'll find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It is time for Matt LaFleur to beat the allegations. And I am talking about you call the game based on the quality of the opponent allegations. Because we've seen all gas, no break, Matt LaFleur. We've seen get into empty and let Jordan Love sling the rock, Matt LaFleur. It just has traditionally been in situations where the Packers were either desperate because of game situation or season situation, or it was a situation where the Packers were not expected to win, or there was just nothing to lose. You go to Dallas and you play the game of your life. Everything Matt LaFleur called worked. And sometimes play callers just get in those modes where everything works. And yes, play callers look much better when guys execute. Players right now for the Packers are not executing at a high level. But I've made it clear my issues with this offense. And if you take some of the stats that I rallied off the other day about the short throws and the sideline throws and the behind the line of scrimmage throws and the run pass ratios. And then Ben Solak found this great stat, Ben Solak, formerly of the Locked On Podcast Network. And it shows that in the Matt LaFleur era, when Jordan Love is the quarterback and the Packers are 7.5 point favorites or more, Jordan Love's average depth of target is 6.5 yards down the field. The Packers, by the way, the only team in the NFL to have lost a game this season when they are more than a touchdown favorite, and they've done it twice. When they are favorites of 7 points or fewer, so when they are favorites but not heavy favorites, the average depth of target is almost 7.8. So we're talking about over a yard difference in terms of aggressiveness, in terms of pushing the ball down the field. When the Packers are an underdog, a slight underdog, so 7 points or fewer, 8.5 yards per attempt. So even further down the field, they're trying to attack and be aggressive. That means if they're an underdog, this is a good team. You should not be able to attack them down the field because they're a good team. Like, you can't try and, sample size your way out of this, or survivorship bias, or it's none of that. It's none of those things, because the trend is so obvious. When they are an underdog of 7.5 points or more, their average depth of target is almost 9.8 yards down the field. Guess what? When they're down big, they're trying to sling the rock. They're trying to chuck it down the field. They're trying to make big plays. They're trying to do what you're supposed to do when you're an underdog and create variance, create explosive plays, because the only way you're going to win these games is if you create explosive plays. You're not going to 10, 12, 13 play yard drive your way to wins against better competition. Now, the Packers are slight favorites on Monday night against the Philadelphia Eagles, 2.5 points. But what I want to see from them is evidence that they understand that their current approach is not okay, that it's not good enough. Good enough is not good enough. Like, they are good enough for now. In the playoffs, I'm dubious, especially one more injury on defense. You know, there's some reporting, and I've heard the same around Asante Samuel Jr. We talked about this last offseason, or I guess it was this past offseason, that the connection with Derek Ainsley, the Packers passing game coordinator on defense, and Asante Samuel Jr. from their time in LA is real, that there is an appeal there, a mutual interest there. And so we'll see. He's coming off spinal fusion surgery. So, I mean, we'll see. But if they're going to be a run team, a run balanced team, let's call it, then they need to be willing to do what the Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions do, and that is play with more pace. Be aggressive in fourth down situations. You can't be conservative all over the place. Like, some of the best offenses in the NFL right now are run heavy. The Seahawks, the Lions, the Packers. But the Seahawks, the Lions, the Ravens, when they have Lamar Jackson, the Eagles, they go for it on fourth down. They'll give you no huddle. They'll give you sugar huddles. They'll give you changing of tempos. Packers don't do that. They just play slow. It's just a plodding team right now. And they need to find some answers. They have the answers. Jordan Love has been one of the most productive intermediate passers and middle field passers in the NFL this season. And if you look at this Eagles team, last year's Eagles team is the perfect team to play this year's Packers. Historic running team, number one defense in the NFL. Well, this Eagles team, they lead the league in 3 and outs per drive. They have 3 and outs more than any other team in the league. So you can't keep the Packers offense off the field, and you can't keep it a low drive game if you can't possess the ball. And this defense is quietly below average. I know they made the Jared Phillips trade. We'll see how much he's actually able to get up to speed. I assume he's going to play a meaningful amount in this game. But they're 18th and 26th against the run. This has been a bad run defense. Well, if you can't stop the Packers' run game, you can't stop the Packers because their play action game is too good. And for as much as I would like to see Matt LaFleur use more of the play action game on early downs, it doesn't matter if you're running the ball effectively. And the Packers, they were a higher gap scheme team using some more pullers in this game, and they were really effective when they did that. What they're missing right now is that intermediate part of the field. That was where you could see with Tucker Kraft, with Jaden Reed, where they were really going to attack teams. We've seen Matthew Golden have some success there. That's what this team needs. This team needs to be able to get 10 yards on first down, 10 yards on second down. Because they're really, one of the reasons why Jordan Love is the EPA king right now is because he is money on third down. And converting third downs is a really big deal. Because the penalty for not converting it is you don't have the ball anymore. You cannot score. And so this Packers offense is their number one in explosives. Those explosives have not turned into touchdowns. But so your red zone offense has been part of the problem. They're a middling red zone offense despite being a really good overall offense. Well, that's partially on Matt LaFleur, partially on execution. This last game drive where you have a false start, you have a sack. It's self-inflicted wounds, but it's also like some of the play calling decisions. The 4th and 8, terrible decision. And then you think about who's on the field. It's Emmanuel Wilson, not Josh Jacobs for whatever reason. Christian Watson's not on the field for whatever reason. Luke Musgrave's not on the field for whatever reason. Like, what are we doing? You're trying to convert 4th and 8 with Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams, Malik Heath, and John Fitzpatrick, and Emmanuel Wilson? What the hell? That's a Matt LaFleur problem. And so a lot of the problems that are facing this team fall on the shoulders of Matt LaFleur. And so here's an opportunity. In these games, we have seen him come out with good game plans. This defense plays a lot like Carolina's defense. He came out last year, man coverage was the way. Every team wanted to play man coverage against the Packers. Jordan Love has been the best quarterback in the NFL this year against man coverage. Number one. But against zone, they haven't been quite as good. These too high shells, because they have not been able to run teams out of it, they have not had answers for. It's time for the Packers, for Matt LaFleur, but everybody really, to prove it. You want to be a Super Bowl team? You go win this game. Or if you lose it, 31-28. You go down swinging. We'll see if they can do it. We'll talk to Lily Zhao about it next on Locked On Packers. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. NBA futures are there for you. NFL futures are still there for you. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Well, it was not the week that we thought we were going to have here on Locked On Packers when we have our friend Lily Zhao join us for a Zhao You Doing Wednesday. The Packers had, by at least the odds makers count, the biggest upset since they've been keeping odds, essentially. And so that's not great. But Lily Zhao is here. We are happy about that. Lily, how you doing?
Peter, that was a week. That was a game. That was a Sunday. That's all I can say.
Technically true.
Yeah, it was something. But, outside of that, I'm enjoying the fact that we're in November. We're getting a little closer to Thanksgiving. I love the holiday cheer. So I'm doing very well. How you doing?
I'm good. Everyone in my house is on one end or another of being sick. So, I'm trying to fight through that and dodge raindrops in that regard as we move through the ugly season when it comes to that stuff. So hopefully the Packers can do that as well. Wash your hands, wash your butt. Thank you, Devontae Adams. And we'll see what happens. We've already started seeing around the NFL, the so-and-so missed 2 days of practice with illness. That's starting to happen more and more. So certainly something to keep an eye on there. We have to start with the Panthers stuff. Why, Lily? No, why does this team perpetually seem to play down to its opponents or play up? It doesn't matter who they're playing. They seem to play on their level always.
I'm not sure. I think if the Packers had an answer, they wouldn't be doing this. I asked multiple guys in the locker room, how can you guys get to playing consistent football for 4 quarters? And it was kind of the same thing of we got to focus on the details. And I think we've kind of heard that the last couple of years, focus on the details. And you have to wonder, why has that not happened yet? We're in the middle of the season. You've got to be playing some good football end of November here. So I think Monday will be a good game for them to hopefully turn things around. But yeah, it seems like they can't get out of their own way. They are a very talented team, but they just can't find a way to not beat themselves. And that has just kind of been their calling card in these games where they're heavily favored of they just kind of stumble and bumble and try to find a win at the end. And it's a little bit too late. Self-inflicted mistakes, left a lot of points on the field. It's kind of the same story, but in a couple of those games, they found a way to win. But you talk about the Browns game, you talk about the Panthers game. Again, 2 games they should easily have won did not come to fruition. So maybe this just this Packers team and their identity thus far. But again, if they want to be that Super Bowl team, they got to turn things around quickly.
No doubt about it. There was a really interesting piece Ben Solak wrote for ESPN where he showed that in the different the betting bands. So when the Packers are 7-point favorites or greater versus 7-point underdogs or greater, every band of touchdowns, Matt LaFleur, or at least Jordan Love, got more conservative, materially more conservative in terms of how far they throw the ball down the field. So how much of this, do you feel that? I've heard some people say, I don't think that's true. I think that's a Jordan Love thing. Look at the Aaron Rodgers numbers are not as stark. It doesn't feel like a Jordan Love thing to me, Lily. It feels like a Matt LaFleur thing. And I know I'm asking you a vibes question. You are a resident vibes expert here. Do you get those same vibes that Matt LaFleur calls the game differently in terms of his aggressiveness, depending on the opponent?
It seems like it. And it also, and I listen, I understand they want to find a way to establish the run. It is not happening. I don't know what they can
Sure
do
isn't.
to fix it when you have guys who are banged up. I mean, this offensive line is struggling and they're hurt. So you can't establish the run. Let the guys cook with the pass. But if you can't protect Jordan Love, that also doesn't work. Gotta give him some time to throw the football. But in terms of the play calling, it does seem that even in games where, they can kind of put their foot on an opponent's neck and score even more, they kind of take a step back offensively. And it's, you're not seeing like a 45-7 win. It's like a 27-7 win. It's kind of when they feel like they have a comfortable enough lead, they kind of take their foot off the gas, and you can kind of attribute that to play calling in terms of, I forget what game it was, but it was late in the fourth quarter where they needed to get another first down. And it seemed like such a chore when it was a game that they had, or we're supposed to win handedly. So it does kind of seem that way. It does feel like that.
It seems that like their focus will wax and wane. And I think that is likely a result of this being a young team. But like, at what point do we stop saying that, Lily? Like, at what point does it not matter? Like, Jordan Love has been through it now. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, all the offensive linemen. Like, this is an old enough team. This is a veteran enough team that's sort of like, we're a young team excuse. It's nonsense to me at this point, frankly. Tucker Kraft. This was brutal. Romeo Dobbs joke question mark. That Tucker Kraft was in a better place now. That felt like a bit to me that he was like, everyone's acting like the season's over because Tucker Kraft is out. Like, it's not like he died. Like, we're going to be fine. I felt like that was the message that he was like low key trying to send. He is endlessly funny to me for myriad reasons. But when it first happened, your first thought was what?
I think for the length that he was down for, I was thinking, because it's Tucker Kraft. I feel like if he's down, he normally kind of just gets up quickly. But for
he normally does that little flip up.
Yeah. Or it's like, he'll sit up and kind of saunter off the field. But he was down for a significant period of time. And I think just kind of seeing him carted off there with a towel around his neck, he just, it didn't look the best. And then you hear the reports about the ACL, you hear LaFleur say it doesn't look good. And you kind of did fear the worst. And I think a lot of people were focusing on the Josh Jacobs part of that play where we weren't focusing on Tucker Kraft. So I think when you were replaying it, you're like, oh no, it could be the MCL, ACL. And it was the worst case scenario, but it felt like for how long he was down, it was not going to be an injury that, would keep him out for a month. It was one that would unfortunately be way longer.
What sort of concern level would you have about the offense moving forward without him?
Yeah, it's tough. When you look at their stable of tight ends, it's can Luke Musgrave kind of recapture that magic that he had when Tucker Kraft was injured before? And he was the guy. The Packers have an offense.
Easy to forget that now, that he was the no doubt starter when he was a rookie and the guy everyone was raving about. National media coming to camp, Matt LaFleur, who never raves about rookies. They were so excited about what he could do.
And I think they still can be. I think, Tucker just kind of took his chance and ran with it when Luke got injured. Yep. And now I think it's Luke's chance to do the same thing. It's just they're two different guys in terms of their ability to create, but that's okay. You're not going to have the yak like you will with Tucker Kraft, but, Luke Musgrave can still be that solid, tight end for the Packers. So they have to scheme that for him and utilize him. But, you can tell from their moves is they're bringing in a couple of tight ends on the practice squad to see if they can bolster that position. But you need somebody behind, Luke Musgrave. So can John Fitzpatrick have a bigger role? But those guys aren't Tucker Kraft. They're not. No. They're just not him. No one can be. He was such a unique player and such an explosive player. So they lose that aspect of their offense. But the fortunate part is Christian Watson is back. So you at least have that explosive aspect. But they got to find ways to maximize him and make sure that their offense isn't one-dimensional moving forward without Tucker.
I think it is easy to forget this now. But while Tucker Kraft was on the field in 2023 in the second half when Jordan Love really took off, he was not anywhere near the focal point of the offense. And he was a useful player, but they used Christian Watson in the slot a ton over that stretch vertically. And that was a big part of what they were able to do. Jaden Reed in the slot as a vertical weapon. Like, they have a lot of these players, especially once Jaden Reed gets back. Maybe they can use Matthew Golden in that way. I feel like they quietly have a lot of options. And I'm actually excited to see what Matt LaFleur can do here, because I think for all the criticisms of Matt LaFleur, he does his best work when his back is against the wall. And when he's forced into some of these situations, I think choice can paralyze him sometimes. And he can galaxy brain himself out there a little bit because he is such a creative coach. But if there is one player that you're like, okay, this is the guy that I think can step up, whether it's Luke Musgrave or one of the names we mentioned, is there one guy where you go, okay, if the Packers can get this guy to step forward, they can be fine. They can be good enough.
That's a good question. I still say it's Josh Jacobs. Like, you guys, they have to find a way to get the ground game going to complement everything. As much as the passing game can do, and they are good. I know if you let Jordan Love cook, they'll cook out there. But again, if the play calling is a run on first down, a run on second down, they've got to be productive runs. And it's nothing against Josh
They just
Jacobs.
Don't do that, Lily. Can they just not do that? That would be my preference personally.
They will. So if they're going to have those play calls in first and second down to avoid a third and long, you got to have productive runs. And again, it's nothing on Josh Jacobs. It's the guys up front, everybody blocking. It has to all kind of be this beautiful cohesive unit, and it hasn't been that just yet for them. So I'd say if he can kind of get things going, I think, again, you'll see Jordan Love and Christian Watson, and hopefully they can kind of scheme up some more for Matthew Golden. Those guys can work in tandem, but I think the offensive line has to really step up their play in all aspects.
More with Lily Zhao coming up on Locked On Packers. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where BILT comes in. BILT is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. You know how a lot of places don't let you pay rent with a credit card? Well, BILT is different. You earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, and future rent payments, your next Lyft ride, and more. But BILT isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your neighborhood. Now, paying rent can actually work for you. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnfl. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnfl. Make sure you use that link so they know we sent you. No doubt. They did not play great against the worst pass rush in the NFL last week, and that was pretty disappointing to see. Greg Olsen had a great stat, one of many on the broadcast. He's as good as we have, I think, in the business right now, about the Packers being in third and manageable the most of any team in the NFL. I think they have the shortest yards to go on third down, which is why they're the best third down team in the NFL. The problem is when you're a really good offense, you need to be converting first downs on first down and first downs on second down, not getting into third downs constantly, because then I think that, to me, Lily, that's why this team feels so inconsistent. Is yes, they're converting on third downs. Yes, they're the number 3 team now creating explosive plays, but they're not doing a good enough job of, here's a 10-yard run on first down. Here's a 12-yard, pass on second and 4. It's the intermediate chunks, not the big explosive plays, because we saw Christian Watson with a big explosive play. They took the other shot to Matthew Golden. They're going to get stuff like that. You can't live off that stuff anyway. It's that this is the team feels plotting when they're not creating explosives. And it's like they need to find that Goldilocks zone of some of those more intermediate sort of passes, intermediate chunk runs. And that's the thing that seems to me, at least, to be missing from this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I feel like when defenses are forcing the Packers to dink and dunk them down the field, it has not worked. The Panthers worked that to perfection.
Has that worked for the Packers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the Panthers schemed that up well, where, outside of a couple, deep throws, Christian Watson with that nice catch, the offense didn't really generate enough explosive plays. So they played to the Panthers game plan of just taking chunk play or, intermediate throw, intermediate run. And they couldn't move down the field consistently enough to make them pay. And if teams are seeing that, that's a way that we can beat Green Bay, is to take away the explosive play and have everything else in front of us and have them beat you that way, that's what we're going to do. But this offense needs to find ways, like you mentioned, to make sure that you're not in a third and manageable all the time on on your drives. It's, you've got to get some productive plays and yardage on first and second down.
Yeah. How about 4 and 5 play drives where you're never on third down? That would be that's what really good offenses do. And the Packers have not been able to do that this year. And by the way, that too high soft zone, make everything in front of you. That's exactly how the Philadelphia Eagles play. So we're going to get another tensile test for this team. Do they have some answers now for all of that? Is it crazy for me to think I expect the Packers to play so much better than we saw on Sunday, even though the Eagles are such a better team than Carolina, just because that seems to be their MO in especially the Jordan Love era, where it's like when they have their biggest tests and we think they're a pretty good team. We didn't know 2023 early on. Yeah. The Lions, they put it on them pretty good, but like the last 2 seasons, or at least last season and a half plus this year against a really good team, they make it close at the very least. And so I feel like we're going to see a good version of this Packers team on Monday.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm happy that when you're looking at the rest of their schedule, it's a lot tougher of a schedule.
Yeah, they got some big games.
Teams. So, every other year you'd say, oh, that's really unfortunate. You want them to have a very good strength of schedule, very weak strength of schedule, but maybe it's good that they don't because they're able to play up to these teams. But I really do like their ability to come out in a primetime game, a primetime setting, and set the tone. I expect them to do that again on Monday. Again, this is a team that ended their season last year. Yep. It was a game, had they, again, not had self-inflicted mistakes, they could have won, should have won. And so can they go out there and prove it? Again, if you're not able to play your best football and rebound, we can talk all week about what you guys want to do better, but what can they actually do on the field come Monday night? These guys were talking about, listen, we want to turn the page. We want to be back out there on the field to compete because we played so sloppy on Sunday. So let's go see it. Let's go see it on Monday.
This is what we talked about in the open. This is a prove it moment for this Packers team, for Matt LaFleur, for a lot of different players. I think for Jordan Love in a lot of ways. And so I'm excited to see it. The trade deadline, Lily, we pushed the recording of our show back in the thoughts that the Packers might do something, or that something might happen that we want to talk about in terms of some of the things the NFC teams have done here. By the way, Jordan Love apparently at a player dinner already called Monday a revenge game. So they're thinking about it the way that we are thinking about it. Were you surprised that they didn't do anything?
Not that I say I wasn't surprised, but you always hear they're in talks about getting so-and-so. Yeah, sure. So, their phones were busy, but nothing, kind of worked out. And
let me reframe it. Was there a move that someone else made that you thought, man, the Packers could have done that?
Do you want Sauce? Do you want Sauce Gardner?
You don't have the picks for him, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So I don't think anything that was made today was something that would have fit in their budget and their, with their needs. And so I think, with what they were able to do, you add some guys to the practice squad and maybe you get somebody who's a free agent. I don't know.
That is the talk right now. Asante Samuel Jr. is potentially available. There's a connection with Derek Ainsley, his former passing game coordinator, DB's coach in LA with Brandon Staley. So there's definitely some smoke there. I had heard that in the offseason that, hey, there's this connection here is not just noise. Like there's real buzz there. So something certainly to keep an eye on. And guess what? Packers Eagles. This is kind of the game, right? Like if you circled one game on the schedule when the schedule came out, this was it, right? Like this was the one game you wanted to see this year. So let's go see it. Green Bay, and Lily and I will get to talk about it a couple days later. Can't wait.
Lots of tush push.
Oh no! Why did you have to ruin it? I was so excited.
I'm sorry.
Now we gotta think about that. Oh, no. Thank you, Lily. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks to Lily for joining the show. Always great to talk with her. I can't wait for Monday night. I really can't. It's always a tough week. It's a long week after the Packers lose or don't play well. And you got to listen to the national pundits. Although there were a couple of them that I expected to hear, a lot of negativity from, and kind of like whatever, like in that piece from Solak, for example, he was just sort of like, this team's going to be fine. Like there's still some annoying things, but they're going to be fine. Dan Orlovsky, Mina Kimes talked about how it feels like an offense where Matt LaFleur is trying to show how creative he is versus a team that wants to execute. That is something that I want to see. Just, hey, can you run the hell out of duo? And then we'll see if we can get to some of the cute stuff. Can you make sure you can run some of the staple passing concepts and block up like the normal stuff before you get to some of the weird stuff? That's sort of how I feel about this team right now. But we'll see what they look like. I think they're going to come out in a big way against the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, I've been wrong plenty about that. But this team this year, that's just the truth. That's just the truth. I am very confused by this team in some ways, and then I feel like I perfectly understand them in some other ways. And they are an enigma because we know how good they can be, and that's what makes all this even more frustrating. If they went out and beat the Eagles by 10 on Monday night, no one would be that surprised. But then you go, okay, well, but then what about the Giants? And they'll play the Giants to within a field goal because that's just been the way that this team has operated this year. Back tomorrow, our crossover Thursday here as we move forward. An interview on Friday, maybe another interview on Monday just to get us set up for Monday Night Football. It's going to be a blast, an absolute blast. So come check out everything we're doing here on the Locked On Packers network. As it is right now, Locked On Podcast feed is going to get you the Squad Show twice a week. We got the Squad Show coming tonight, 7 Lambeau time. And then we'll be live on Monday night after the game. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Those are in your feed after they happen. Or you can watch us live on YouTube so you can stay Locked On Packers.